how I went from employee to entrepreneur. Is it hard to become an entrepreneur? How do you even get started? In this video, I will share with you my story and how I went from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. Who am I? I'm Gregg. I am an entrepreneur. I have started several businesses. I have sold several businesses now. I enjoy being an entrepreneur, and I enjoy helping you become an entrepreneur as well. This channel, Stop the Grind, is all about helping you stop grinding away at things that don't matter to you and starting the life that you want to live. Start doing what matters to you. Before we move on, do me a favor and click that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll get the great new content that comes out, and it helps me know that this content is helpful for you, and it helps this channel out. Let's get started with today's content. So my story may actually be somewhat similar to your story. The difference is probably the position in the story that we're each at. Each one of us has a timeline. You may be at the beginning of what my timeline is, but that's okay. You can share in this story with me. I had worked for a couple good companies, making actually pretty good money. And I was generally pretty safe and excelled at the jobs that I did. I was even nominated in a pretty decent sized company as the employee of the year. That's how much I excelled at what I had done. So why would I want to leave jobs that I was good at? Why would I want to move on? Why would I want to give up what was perceived safety and perceived good jobs? Well, good money and good jobs are not always enough. A good job is only a good job if you say it's a good job, I guess. I don't know. But even though I liked the people that I worked with and I excelled at what I did, I didn't really like my job. I wasn't happy. Why? Because my dreams, my goals didn't line up with the company or with the jobs that I was doing. I wanted to do things that mattered to me, not just things that mattered to the company. I wanted a life that offered benefits to others. I wanted to help others. I wanted to spend more time with my family. And I didn't want to need to ask for time off every time I wanted to leave the office early or come in a little bit late or even take a day or a week off. And I didn't want the limitations of, well, your position only allows for 2 weeks off, so that's all you get in a year. 2 weeks out of the whole year to spend with my family or doing things that mattered to me just wasn't enough. It left me very unfulfilled in what I did. So the first time I left a job, that's right, you heard that right, I left more than once. Stay with me because I'm going to tell you the story and the whole journey that I took. All right, so the first time I left, I was not prepared. I had no knowledge of what to do. I didn't know where to go to get the knowledge I needed. That's actually why this channel exists, so that you can have the knowledge you need so you don't make the steps that so that you don't make the mistakes that I made. Knowledge is powerful. And if you just leap out of a job into the unknown, it's probably going to end up in failure. And that's pretty much where I ended up, was back in a job. I wasn't making the money I needed. I didn't know what steps I needed to take to make my entrepreneurship work or my newfound job that I created for myself work. So I essentially failed. And that was hard because I really didn't want to go work for somebody else, but I really couldn't just be broke all the time either. So I ended up back working for somebody else. Now, the next time I left, I was ready. And this is where the knowledge sits, is I'm going to share with you how I gained the knowledge and things I needed to leave successfully so that you can also follow in those footsteps and do it right. This time I was miserable at my job and I knew I wanted to leave and work for myself. The job itself was doing work that I liked. The people that I worked with this time were not people that I really wanted to be working with. And that's what made it miserable, especially really, there's a saying that says people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. That was very much the case this time. So this time, I really needed an exit, and I really searched hard trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to exit this time. This time I was wondering, should I go find another job, or should I try entrepreneurship one more time? Should I try my own thing one more time? So I really wanted to do what mattered. I wanted to spend time with my family, and I didn't want to have to be in the office just because it was office hours. That never made sense to me. Just because it's working hours doesn't mean I need to be at my desk working. And in all of my jobs, I worked outside of work hours. In addition to having to be at my desk during working hours, I really didn't understand that, and I really don't like that. I work hard, and I will always work hard. So why do I have to work hard during working hours and then work hard outside of working hours? There should be some flexibility here. So to escape the life of employee, I followed a few basic steps. First, I started a side hustle. On this channel, we talk about a lot of different side hustles that you can start. So if you're struggling to find your side hustle, go back and watch some of those other videos on how to find your side hustle. But the first step I did was I started a side hustle. In my free time, I found customers. Now you can do this easier than I did because I worked hard to find my customers. Also, there are videos on this channel about how to find customers easier. You can learn from everything that I've done over the years, the mistakes I've made. I try to make it as easy as possible for you. So in my free time, I found customers, and then I met the needs of those customers. At the time, I was selling social media management and website design. So I'd go find customers, I'd build them great websites, and I'd manage their social media all in my free time, while now building this income stream for me. Then I asked my customers for referrals. This is how I went about trying to expand upon my existing customer base and speed up the process of finding new customers. Well, if I had customers that I liked, most likely the people that they already knew were people who I would also like to work with, because the people that they already knew were probably similar to them. This paid off really well, and I highly encourage you, ask your existing good customers for referrals. Don't ask your bad customers for referrals because you don't want any more customers like them. When I saw that my side hustle was viable, I set my exit goal. For me, I needed $5,000 in monthly revenue at the time. That was my goal. I felt like it was a low enough goal where I could get out and sustain life, but I wasn't really going to be cushy with this money, but it gave me a point that I could exit. I knew what my monthly budget need was, so I set a goal of $5,000. My monthly budget need was really only $4,000, but I set a goal of $5,000 because what happens, this seems to happen over and over for people who do this. What happens is you may lose a couple customers as soon as you exit your safe, secure job. So you want a little bit of a cushion so that you could lose a customer while then regrowing your business back. In business, there's always a little bit of an ebb and flow. You've got new customers coming in, and sometimes you have some customers exit. Sometimes it's just those projects have ended. Sometimes you just didn't meet a customer's expectations. Whatever it may be, there will be some customers who leave, but always pay attention to why you really lost a customer and be honest with yourself. Because if you just say, well, that person was a big dum-dum head, you're never going to learn why they really left, and you'll never really improve upon what the real reason was. So knowing why a customer left will give you the knowledge you need to improve so that you don't lose other customers. So I needed $5,000 in monthly revenue as my exit goal. So while working my side hustle, I continued to work my regular job full-time and just didn't tell anyone at my job that I had an exit goal and I was planning to leave. I kept that very quiet. I didn't need that cat out of the bag. Now, I also started reading a lot of books about building a small business. I'm going to leave some links down below so you don't have to hunt for random books. Really, these are 4 books that I recommend you read, and I'd recommend that you get on those books right away so that you can build the right mindset and the right knowledge you need in this first phase. The first book I really recommend is $1 Million a Weekend. This is really going to give you a mindset you need to find your customers and grow that beginning business, grow that side hustle. The Go-Giver, fantastic book. I highly recommend you read that. Work That Counts. I think this is important that you know why you do what you do. And Blue Ocean Strategy. These are 4 books I highly recommend you read before you leave your full-time job. All right, so also while working my full-time job and working my side hustle, these are all now things of working for myself that I had to do. I needed to read these books. I also regularly met with small business owners and told them my plan and asked for advice. The advice of somebody who's been there, done that is so valuable, and you're going to learn so much more from them than you ever learn anywhere else or have to stumble upon yourself. So this will advance you so much further by learning from somebody else who's already a small business owner. So I sought their advice. I asked for guidance. What do I need to do? How do I do this? What do you recommend? Here's my plan. What do you think? So meet with some trusted small business owners. You don't need to cast a net too wide, but make sure that these are actually helpful people, not arrogant people, and also people who are truly headed down a small business ownership path that matches up with your interests. It doesn't have to be a similar business, but a similar mindset. The next thing I did was I started listening to podcasts about small business. There are so many great podcasts out there, and it will help you in your journey to starting your small business. All right, as I got close to my goal, I started looking at networking groups, business organizations, and chamber of commerces. I knew these would be part of just meeting more people as soon as I was able to. So I started doing some homework and research. Why did I do it before I had exited my job? Because I really wanted to be on the ground running as soon as I could be when I left. I didn't want to have too much of a lag in really ramping. Okay, now when I hit my $5,000 goal, I turned in my resignation. I didn't even wait 2 days. I had hit that goal in monthly revenue. I knew it was time, so I turned in my resignation. Now in my resignation, I offered actually a 4-week exit strategy. My boss was still really mad that I was leaving. I gave him 4 weeks. I didn't have to give him 4 weeks, but I wanted to leave well. So I did. And I didn't have to leave that day. I didn't have to burn that bridge and get out the door as fast as possible. So I tried to give my boss as much time as possible to transition my duties to other people and also help train those who were going to take over my duties. I also continued to read and I continued to meet with business owners. Finally, my last day came and I was done with my job. The next day, I was on my own. And boy, can I tell you what a weird feeling that was. I was completely on my own, but I actually had a viable business up and running. And it was strange to start my day working for myself instead of starting my day working for somebody else and having to fit in my business in the cracks. So to be able to continue, I needed to be able to sustain and grow this business. So what did I do? I had to set annual goals. Without a goal, you're really not going to achieve anything. So for this to work, as soon as I started out on my own, as my own, I had to have very clear goals. So I set annual goals. How much business do I need in a year? How much money do I want to reach in a year? I started reverse engineering this. What does this mean monthly? What does this mean weekly? What does this mean daily? All right, so now for me, I was able to reverse engineer quite a few of these pieces. If I wanted revenue, I knew how many customers I needed to reach that revenue. I knew how many people I needed to reach out to in order to acquire a customer. These are great numbers to know. Let's say, I don't remember what my exact numbers were back then, but let's say for every 5 people that I reached out to, 1 would be a customer. That means for every 1 customer that I wanted, I needed to reach out to 5 people. So if I wanted 1 new customer a week, that meant I needed to reach out to 5 people every week, Reverse engineer that. I needed to reach out to at least one person a day. All right, now we've got somewhere to go. So now I knew what I needed to be doing to continue to grow my new business. So I met my goals every single day. Why do I say set daily goals? Because when you set annual goals, you tend to delay things or push things off or say, it's just a slow season, it'll pick up. Don't make that mistake. Reverse engineer it. Even monthly goals. Well, you've got 30 days, actually like 20, 21 working days to meet your goals. So it's easy to say, well, there's the ebb and flow in the month. Don't do that. Set a minimum of weekly goals, if not daily goals. Now I know if I have a weekly goal, I know what I need to be doing daily to get there. So work those goals. All right, now I also added to my plate reading books on sales. I wasn't a good salesperson, but I knew what I needed to do to accomplish basic sales, but I knew I needed to up my game, so I started reading books on sales. Learn good salesmanship. There are books out there that teach you to be pushy salespeople. There are books out there that teach you to be kind salespeople. There are books out there that teach you just how to do sales. Start reading those books and learn what works and what doesn't. Now try some of those things and see what works and what doesn't for you. Everything that didn't work for growing was a lesson. I was able to learn what didn't work, which also gave me tools for what would work. Or maybe something that didn't work, if tweaked, would work. So don't just say something doesn't work. Learn from it. Why didn't it work? What could I do differently? Or what option do I have that's different that will work? I quickly found that there was a lot to do, and my newfound freedom could also become a trap. There's this statement, and I don't know who said this, so I'm sorry I don't have the exact quote for you, but work fills the time you give it. Work fills the time you give it. There was so much to do, and I could chase so many rabbits, I could quickly find myself in the office 12, 15, or more hours a day, constantly chasing something else to do. So what I needed to do was I started to create buckets or boxes to put things in. Not literal buckets, not literal boxes, but I started to create these boxes. Monday mornings was a 4-hour window, and during that 4-hour window was my time to accomplish accounting tasks. Monday afternoon, another 4-hour window, I gave it a task to do. Monday afternoon may have been my window to do sales. By putting things in boxes, I was able to constrain the time that things took so they didn't expand outside of the lines and cause me to work nonstop, which was something I really wanted to avoid when I left my job. I didn't want to work nonstop. I wanted to control work so that I could live the life I wanted. So forming boxes around your work and forcing things to fit in a box was very helpful for me, and I highly suggest it for you. As my business grew, I started adding staff. Now, this can be hard at first because staff can be very expensive, especially in the beginning. You need to trust the people that you hire and understand that at first, a staff person is going to take you more time to train them than it would be to just do something yourself. But once they are trained in a task, that task is off your plate and now you are freed up from it. So staff are very helpful, and I highly suggest that you allow staff to do their job and to do their job well. When I was able to hand off tasks, that would give me more freedom and more time to start looking forward and to start looking at new opportunities. By listening to what others had to say and paying attention and having this free time, I would hear of other pain points that existed for my customers and for others that I was able to provide solutions for. This is how I started forming more businesses. By listening and hearing other pain points, I would build solutions around those pain points and then offer those services. Look at how I start businesses. There's more videos on this channel about that. I find a problem, and then I provide a solution, and then I test that and see if I can sell it. Go watch those videos if you want to find more ways to build more solutions to create more businesses. So for me, being an entrepreneur is fantastic. I love it. I love what I do. I love building these businesses. It is an absolute blast for me to be an entrepreneur. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that you start with a side hustle and build that into a full business. All right. I am here for you, and I will help you with anything you need. I have left links in the description below where you can schedule time with me. That's what I'm here for. I want to help you find success.